if that'll be the case, though, as we head into game number 2 of the series. LNG this time moving over to the blue side, and excitingly, we get FLICKR's signature Aatrox.
Really exciting seeing FLICKR on this pick, especially on the top side. It will be interesting to see how he decides to play this matchup. Typically, as the Aatrox, you want to like get that wave pushed in early, get the bounce back, and then freeze it towards your side of the turret and really deny the Ornn. Your other choice is if he just wants to constantly push in, set up priority for XX to abuse, and bring that pressure around the map.
Well, in game number 1, we saw XX grabbing himself the Olaf. This time around, the matchup swapped. It's going to be Ike's taking the Olaf as Cube just takes a beating up in the top lane. It's early enough where I think he'll be able to recall before the lane kicks off. But it does mean FLICKR can just wander into the jungle. There's no vision on him right now.
Good trade coming out from FLICKR. He has the Conquer, and of course, Aatrox having those 3 Qs makes it very easy to win this level 1 trade against Cube. And kind of talking about the compositions as a whole, of course we already know Vici's going towards the late game. They have Kai'Sa, Taric, Kassadin, and Ornn. It is all about kind of getting towards that 2-item power spike. On the side of LNG, you do have scaling options. You have the Azir, you have the Trundle, but you will come online a lot earlier. You're going to be able to start threatening these early game dragons. And looking at the keystones, we see Maple picking up the Hail of Blades, which is a lot more about these short burst trades with those 3 auto attacks coming out. Going to be able to bully Forge really hard.
And also really great for the skirmishing in the earlier stages of the game.
Yep.
I'm just going toe-to-toe here in the bottom lane. And interestingly, we see XX as well, bringing the press, the attack, a little bit of damage amplification for the rest of his team. So you can see a lot of burst will be available for LNG when it comes to these fights. So Zero dodges the stun though. I don't think Hung and Naiboy win this 2v2.
Still, Iboy being able to use his pressure early. He also has the Hail of Blades, which again is a lot more of an early game oriented rune, setting up for you to get those plasma hits off early, win these short burst trades, and get this lane pushing.
Dazzle used just before level 2 hit though, so no kill pressure on that level 2 spike here. And Duan going to happily just block the Prey Seeker. That means that it will just about neutralize. You can see though, Iboy and Hung considering moving into the jungle there. XX knows something might be up. He's going to be ready. And now we'll move over to his red.
Looks like they just wanted to keep an eye on if XX would look for an early gank with them pushing in the lane. With them getting that Tri-Brush ward, will be interesting to see if they just decide to keep looking for this push, or if they will just let the wave bounce back into them and play the lane from a point of safety.
XX does want to make the play that you were referring to, but the ward is going to stop him from even making an attempt. And I think he realizes that he's warded it, because look at the positioning in the lane right here from Vici. There's no way you're making a gank onto that.
Nope, Vici playing very safe in this lane. An interesting thing for... Ooh, Juan still wants it.
Juan goes for the hook. Stun comes out from Hung. Iboy and Hung move away, but Ike's is making a counterplay up towards the top side. FLICKR with the flash, but doesn't get the knock up. There's the slow from the undertow. And an easy first blood for Ike's.
FLICKR would have liked to get that lane slow pushing back to him, which with the where the wave is positioned, that's what would happen. Still positioned too far forward. Didn't have a ward spotting out Ike's. And Vici finding a pretty needed early game advantage.
So far, so good for Vici.
Oh.
XX. This is what you call bullying right here. This is what you call zoning. Iboy going to be kept so far away from the CS. Losing a lot of XP, a lot of CS. You can see the deficit already showing in the bottom side. Axe was spotted on a ward here, so Maple should be safe.
I like the extra pillar just for the flex at the end of it too.
Yeah. You shall not pass. You shall not get this CS.
And now LNG using their bot pressure, trying to turn that into some vision and threat on the mid lane. Back in the day, we saw Kassadin dove very frequently.
Poor Forge. He's not having a fun time. In comes Duan. Flash for the root. This is surely a kill. Duan might go down, though. Takes one too many. And giving a kill to Kassadin early is not what they wanted.
The wave just wasn't set up for the dive. Again, we used to see this sort of dive a lot 2-3 seasons ago when Kassadin was more common, but LNG were the ones who dedicated resources to the mid lane, so Kassadin coming out with a kill is very good for the side of Vici.
Really is. So far, this is actually looking pretty good for Vici. Gold going to be even, though, across the board, so certainly neither team with a dramatic advantage as of right now, but importantly, Maple. massive CS advantage.
But look where Ike's is on the map. His top laner is getting pushed in. Maple's making his way back out to the map. This is such a dangerous invade coming out from Ike's.
Blastcone going to be here. He's spotted him. Flandre's here. Infernal Chains forces the flash. Now a knock-up to follow. Flandre can't get the kill, but that's an easy summoner.
What a weird risk to make. Again, both of your lanes are getting pushed in. You know Maple's coming back from the reset, so he's walking towards you. XX is there, and you still go for this.
Yeah, but was it worth, though? He got a Grump. We take those. Grump for Flash.
Oh, yeah, you know, accelerating the gold game, getting towards that late game even faster.
It's just Flash for efficiency, man. That's what we're talking about. Flash over the back of Dragon Pit so you can get to Scuttle Crab quick. That's my kind of League of Legends right there. But across the board, I mean, just purely because of that Gromp, he's now 44 CS up over 27. That singular play, I'm going to say, set that up.
You know,
that's analysis.
I was going to say, that's something.
Now towards the bottom side, though, Asura going to be able to continuously just shove in onto the side of iBoy.
Just look at the mini-map in general. We have 3 pushing lanes on the side of LNG right now. XX has so many options with what he can do. Cube does have TP advantage like we talked about last game, so it will be kind of risky if LNG want to force anything that Cube can come, so it will be very important for Flandre to keep up this constant pressure topside.
And you know what? Even with the pushing lanes, I have a feeling VG will contest if LNG try and start this dragon. I just don't think the it's Ike, sorry, is the kind of jungler to just allow this to go without a fight. See Forge moving over as well. Casting with just a Catalyst is not the greatest team fighter. Duan pulls himself out. Double stun though, Asura forced to flash very early in the fight. He's slowed by the Unstow. Voidseeker's there and he's finished off. Ike's finds one. Now onto Duan. Dazzle not available. And it means they can't finish the Nautilus. But straight on towards this dragon.
Duan and Asura just posturing too far forward. Doesn't matter if LNG have pushing lanes. If XX and Maple are cut off from the fight, now with Asura going down, and like we already mentioned, Cube having that teleport, it's just very easy for Ike's to take this Infernal Drake.
Now, I don't want to say I called it or anything, but Vici definitely got this Drake, so I don't know. But no, ultimately, bit of an overstep there, it has to be said. From the side of LNG, Asura and Duan going way too far forward. A really great punish from Ike's. That's his 2nd kill of the game as well.
And we saw Ike's Olaf in their series against LGD come out. I think it was game 1, looked so big, got up to 4-0 on that champion, and really brought that game home for the side of Vici. So this is the type of champion you want to see Ike's on if you are a Vici fan.
As far as trades between Aatrox and Ornn, though, that's about as good as they get, because Flandre is going to have a huge advantage up in this top lane, and especially before the Bramble Vest is finished. Typically, you will see a Bramble Vest on the side of Ornn just to deny some of the healing from the side of Flandre. It's possible that he does just forego that in this matchup. You don't have to, but certainly makes it a little bit easier to deal with the consistent pressure.
Bramble Vest is always meant for more of those 1v1 trades, to where if you just go right towards that Sunfire, says, hey, I don't care that I'm losing this lane.
Here we go, fight in the mid lane. Duan caught way out of position, finished off Asura the next one as the 3rd kill picked up by Ike's. And he just has a target right above Asura's head so far this game.
LNG just walking blindly into the river.
Flandre's in trouble, knock up from Cube. No mana on the Ornn though. And auto attacks are not going to finish an Aatrox off.
Nope, so nothing happening on the top side, but once again, LNG walking blindly into the river. Ike's was already there, just able to delete that bot lane.
Cube has to Searing Charge away there. Had Infernal Chains been available, he could have been in trouble, but Flandre might be the one in trouble now. Stacking up the Plasma, dodges the Dazzle. Flash not available. Voidseeker to try and do the damage. iBoy pulled back under the tower, but Hang tanks it. He goes back in. What a killer instinct. iBoy making up for game 1.
iBoy just looking very good there on the Kai'Sa, finding a much-needed pick onto Flandre. We talked about Flandre is one of these players that can kind of over-push, over-exert himself, over-aggress at key moments, and really important for Kai'Sa to be able to pick up that kill.
In the meantime, though, as everyone groups up towards the top side for Vici Gaming, LNG will answer on the bottom side of the map. 1,000 gold in favor of Vici at this stage, though. With that first dragon as well, they're feeling good at how this game has started.
Vici are the ones with the scaling comp like we talked about, and their early game option in the Olaf is getting ahead. It's giving room for Forge, for iBoy, for Cube to start getting items under their belt, and in these later team fights when we have things like Ornn items, when we have a 2-3 item Kai'Sa and Kassadin, Vici are going to come out far ahead.
That's the thing. This was meant to be the composition that struggles in the early game. And Forge, this is the dream scenario for him. He doesn't need to participate in all of these skirmishes. He can just be farming up in the mid lane, while the rest of his team wins everywhere else on the map.
Still, LNG able to come out with the turret on the trade, so you're still not too far behind, only about 1k gold. The next thing we're really going to be looking towards is that dragon in just under 2 minutes.
That will really be a deciding moment in this game. Obviously, XX will have the subjugation, but you got to look towards Asura and Duan here. I mentioned it in game 1. These are the veterans on the squad. These are the guys that you'd expect the team to be rallying behind, but so far, they've been the ones getting caught out of position and losing objectives for LNG.
We've always known Duan as a player to make some mistakes in these series, but very uncommon for Asura to also be kind of getting picked off with him. Asura is, like we talked about, the carry of this team. He needs to be the one kind of showing up in these team fights in the laning phase, and with him 0-2 behind, you're putting a lot more pressure onto the side of Maple.
Maple has been hit or miss so far this season. And I'm hoping to see a little bit more hit from him on the likes of this Azir. It's something he's played in the past. This is his 5th game on Azir this split. Something we know him for. And in these kind of team fights, early on, he's going to look great. Especially with that Halo Blade, he's going to be able to do a lot. But in the later stages, Azir's going to struggle against the likes of a Kassadin.
It's going to be really hard for him to keep Vici off of him, even with the Emperor's Divide, when you're facing things like the Kassadin. Of course, Kai'Sa also being able to jump in, Call of the Forge God coming out from Ornn. So it's really going to be hard for Maple to maneuver around all of these threats. And we've already talked about Flandre 0-2, Asura 0-2. They're not as strong as they maybe otherwise could be.
Not to mention as well, you've got Ike's with Ragnarok. Maple can't actually stop him. If Ike's wants to go for that kill, he will go, and there's very little Azir could say about that one. Flandre, aggressive positioning, trying to fight for vision, but the double control ward means it's basically impossible for LNG to safely clear that brush. Forge going to move over. He doesn't have a ton of damage just yet. His Rod of Age is still only on 2 stacks.
Vici still not at a very strong point for their comp, but of course the Olaf.
Hook on in. Hung gets the Cosmic Radiance through. Flandre forced to flash away. So is Duan. Ike's does so much damage, threatening the entire squad right here. Disengaged though from LNG, and with Cosmic Radiance down, maybe there's an opportunity.
It's kind of funny that Ike's is single-handedly anchoring Vici's early game, but you still do have almost every ultimate up on the side of LNG. They can contest this.
Yeah, Bullet Time, Emperor's Divide, Subjugation, all massive ultimates in a team fight. Looking towards the Dragon as it resets. That's going to be a hook onto Hung. Bullet Time across the team as well, but it's denied. Now onto the likes of Cube. First kill goes on to Duan though. Flandre can't escape, and Forge gets the slow onto the whole squad. 2 kills for Ike's, 1 for iBoy, and a second Dragon to boot.
Forge putting up so much pressure just by hovering that side, making it so Asura, so Maple can't really go in, and then all of this damage coming out from Ike's. 5-0 and 2 already on this Olaf. LNG are really getting choked out on what they can even look for on the map.
And how do we see such dramatically different play coming out from Vici Gaming across 2 different games? Because they were nowhere near this decisive and commanding in game 1.
We see here just Forge off to the side, really zoning off all of LNG, so making it so Duan is in there by himself, iBoy being able to just finish him off, Forge continuing to jump in. We talked about that Kai'Sa being able to follow up as well, and just nice decisiveness coming out from Vici.
And there's a little bit more early game power from this Kassadin than I think I really considered coming into this game, in that against Misfortune you can just riff walk in, get the Void Sphere, the Null Sphere off, and it will interrupt the channel on the bullet time. So completely denying that ultimate from Azura, denying a lot of the damage that LNG bring in these early fights.
Yep, the Cassin pick showing up well even early in the game. When you combine it with the fact that Ike's is so big, that Cube did have the call to Forge God early on, with iBoy also being a bit ahead on his build with that plate gold that we see down there, it just made it very hard for LNG to posture forward in this fight.
Very nicely done so far for Vici, and it's a commanding score lead as well. 9-1 right now, 2,000 gold ahead, and both Dragons so far. But Herald on the map, and LNG, they're the ones that want to try and start things off. Ike's going to move in alone here, and he's going to be caught out. Ragnarok to get him out to safety, though. Cosmic Radiance still available in this fight. They get straight onto FLICKR. I don't know about that one, man.
That TP, I don't know, too.
Like, I appreciate that FLICKR is the kind of guy that wants to make a hero play. That's more like a villain play.
It's pretty strange, too, when we actually saw Vici starting off being the one making a mistake. They should have just pushed in mid lane, then walked into River together. We saw Ike's feeling comfortable to walk in alone. Maybe because he had the flash, feeling like, hey, I'm too big. They can't take me down in a single burst.
I mean, he was right.
He was right. But still, then FLICKR TP's in, and, you know, that's all she wrote.
It certainly was. It was murder that she wrote. The murder of FLICKR.
FLICKR's not having a good game.
He's meant to be ending worlds, but right now, 0-4-0. I don't know, man. And this is one of his signature picks. I was excited to see the Aatrox from FLICKR. I was like, all right, we've got a game on our hands. Let's see LNG. Let's see what they've got. And I don't know, just really not showing up.
This is kind of classic FLICKR, where we do see him, again, making these big flashy plays, showing up in a lot of clutch moments, but other times he's just off doing his own thing, not where he needs to be, getting picked off constantly. He's a very aggressive player, so he puts himself in position a lot where against a more coordinated team, it's very easy to find these kills.
And there is plenty of players like that in the LPL that are aggressive, whether they're winning or they're losing. And when they're winning, it looks amazing. When they're winning, they just dominate people.
They get MVPs.
They get MVPs. But when it's not going so hot for the rest of the squad, suddenly that kind of play style doesn't work out.
Just kind of keeping track of where we're at with builds. A lot of champions now having their first item. Kai'Sa making her way towards that Rage Blade with the pickaxe will be important. And of course, Kassadin getting towards the Seraph's Embrace as well. So right now we're in a pretty good position on the side of Vici. And LNG gonna need a bit more on Maple, especially now that they're behind.
Yeah, Maple slides off to safety. He will have to sacrifice his mid lane tier 1 here. 2 towers for 2 so far across the course of this game, but in the meantime, Cube pushing away in the bottom side. And the second charge in the mid lane. Ike's has found XX, a Dazzle's going to be there. Stun comes on through, and the Ragnarok means that he can just charge on in. Bullet time doesn't do enough. Now Ike's may get answered for, but maybe not. Maybe he just walks away with this one. Disaster coming through for LNG.
Vici just getting so far ahead on their comp, playing it so well. We already talked about that. LNG don't really have the disengage options to keep the Azir safe, to keep Asura's Misfortune safe. It's very easy for all of these champions just to run in, jump in, get on top of you. Kind of similar to what we talked about in Game 1, but this time LNG have no way to answer.
And Maple playing solo queue simulator right here, 1-0-0, and then he holds tab, looks at the scoreboard. Everyone else has at least 2 deaths and no kills for themselves. It's a rough game for the side of LNG. And you have to wonder if they're going to be able to pull things back. I feel like this one specifically is already looking very heavily in favor of LNG.
And the Colonel agreed.
The Colonel definitely agreed, 70%.
The Colonel is a prophet here in the LPL, so we trust his word.
We do, and we trust his chicken. It is delicious. I was going to say not a sponsor, but it literally is a sponsor, so I don't need to say that. There we go, 3rd Drake for the side of Vici Gaming. And with this demolish as well, Cube should be able to add another tower to the tally. That'll be all 3 tier 1s finished off now. So Vici, they can start to push that vision line a little bit deeper, start to glean a bit more control of LNG's map.
Maple buying this Banshee's Veil, maybe for that W coming out from Kai'Sa, but once someone like Kassadin or Kai'Sa gets on top of him, that Banshee's Veil isn't really going to do much.
Banshee's Veil, good for a little bit of protection, but ultimately, when you look at the carries on this side of Vici Gaming, they don't typically have one big ability that's going to set everything up. It's lots of little abilities.
And it
so
feels like when you go more towards defensive items, it really works when you're ahead to kind of stop the enemy team from finding like a cheeky pick on you. But when you're behind, and again, especially against a comp like Vici's, it's not really going to do much.
On top of that as well, you're against the Kai'Sa, so there is always the chance that he just finds himself a cheeky little Void Seeker before the fight ever kicks off. Just gets rid of the Banshees entirely. The MR will still be nice, though, especially against the likes of the Kai'Sa Kassadin. There is a lot of magic damage coming through.
That is true. Lots of magic damage coming through. Of course, iBoy still does have options where he could go with this. We don't know if it will be something like the Nashor's Tooth or if he will go Runons next.
Yeah, different schools of thought on the Kai'Sa builds. We've seen a couple of the full AP builds come through.
We know now it will be the Runons.
He's going to go for the AD Kai'Sa, going for those auto attacks.
Which is nice. It does work well with the Mira mana as well.
Up against the likes of a Trundle, Nautilus, Aatrox, I can understand it as well, because you're going to have a lot of people trying to get into your face. Having the high attack speed, being able to kite them out and just proc the plasma as fast as possible makes a lot of sense.
We do also see Cube upgrading that Iceborne Gauntlet. Not something we typically like to see on the Ornn. Does feel like the AP item. Slips my mind. You're the name expert.
The Abyssal Mask?
There we go. Is a lot more efficient to upgrade on the side of Ornn, but against this comp from LNG, which does have just so much AD damage, and Maple being decently far behind in terms of the damage he will be dealing, this kind of makes sense for Cube to go towards this.
How am I the item expert? You're the guy that's meant to know things.
Whoa.
I just shout about team fights that are happening right now. Call of the Forge God will hit everyone from Cube. Duan walks away. Bullet time deters the rest of the fight. By the way, Forge was nowhere near any of this.
No, LNG trying to make something happen. iBoy now getting low, though, and they do have to back off.
iBoy doesn't have any lifesteal for himself. I think he will be running Taste of Blood, so maybe has a little bit of sustain in his kit, but not masses. And I think they're just going to be backing away. Does get red buff, though, so a lot of healing will come through off of the back of that one. And now on towards the Baron. They have complete vision control. They have complete control of this jungle. And it's up to LNG to face check.
Vici just feeling fine, taking this game a bit slower. We do still have these Ornn items coming out. We do have the Kai'Sa.
I mean, that's pretty characteristic Vici, right? Taking the game slow. This is what we expect of this squad.
But they're 11 kills at 22 minutes, so that's something that's really different from what we've seen.
And a lot of that down to Ix. Here we go. Flash from Hung to get the stun. Another kill for iBoy. And all we need to see now is iBoy just stick with the team now. Just stick with Hung. Play safe. Don't go anywhere that you don't need to go alone. Ix flashes forward looking for Asura. Slow comes down. He's going to finish this one off comfortably. And there's a stopwatch. A Cosmic Radiance on top of it. Maple gets his Banshees popped, but they can't follow up for more. Cube actually flashes away from the pillar here. And now they reset back on towards the Baron again.
Forge just so far away, not really able to follow up and continue this fight, but still we see Duan once again making a mistake. You actually have the Scrying Orb up for Asura. You have no need to walk blindly into this river. Getting picked off, really decisive flash coming out from Ix and getting two more key kills on the side of Vici.
And this has been a difficult game so far for LNG. Considering how game number 1 went as well, we do have to look towards the late stages of the game. It was Vici that had the lead early in game number 1. It was LNG that won during the later stages, during the skirmishes and the team fights. Maybe there's still a chance that they can do that here. They're only 5,000 behind. They've still got things like the Azir on their squad. One massive bullet time can still change the fate of the game.
I do want to see Vici take this patiently, wait for Cube to get on the map, walk in together. You don't need to feel too much threat from LNG doing this while you do still have Ooh.
Looking for Hung, looking for Forge. Forge pulled in by the Infernal Chains, and Duan going to be trying to find him. Hung going to be caught out. No Cosmic Radiance in this fight, but it's going to be support for support as Cube executes him with the Forge God. iBoy goes in onto the likes of Maple. Flash away from Maple. The rest of his squad groups around the Azir, but he's finished off. Now 2 men standing as FLICKR tries to escape, but the Plasma takes him down. Double kill now for Forge, and XX flees to the hills.
We saw it right there that Vici's comp is just so good at jumping on top of LNG.
Forge isn't done. He wants some more kills. He's casted in, and he finally has damage. He wants to use it.
Forge, not one of the players you'd put in this like hat of casted in players here in the LPL, but showing up really big on this pick as we go further into this game. Here we just see Vici kind of walk too far forward when they don't need to. We said it would have been nice to see them wait for Cube and walking together. But still, all the damage coming out from iBoy. Nice call the Forge God for Cube to finish it off.
Damage.
And here we see it. It's just so easy for them to jump in together. So much damage on these scaling carries at this point. Forge feeling the comfort to just continuously follow it up. Now LNG don't really have any damage. We saw how far behind FLICKR fell on this Aatrox. And Forge doesn't want to stop. He just keeps it going.
And this is the first game that we're seeing Forge on this casting so far this split, but showing that so long as the early game goes well for the rest of his squad, he can definitely live up to this champion's reputation.
And we have a Cloud Soul. We have casted in an Olaf with a Cloud. Kai'Sa as well. You have so many champions that are going to benefit from the movement speed coming out from this, along obviously with the ultimate CDR. So,
I mean, even potentially Hung. You pop the Cosmic Radiance, charge in with the Dazzle, a little bit of extra movement speed to find your targets for the stun.
We talked about that Cloud Soul is pretty much the least desirable soul in League of Legends right now, but this is a comp that you would just really love having it with.
Yeah. I feel like Cloud Soul isn't the worst soul straight up in a vacuum necessarily.
True.
But it is the soul that you have to justify being good, right? With the other souls, when you get them, it's like, okay, this is good straight up on the board. When you look at Cloud Soul, you have to consider what champions you have and figure out if it's good or not.
Yeah, Infernal Soul and Ocean Soul always useful. Mountain and kind of Cloud being those two that are up in the air depending on what you have in your draft.
But even Mountain,
it's just always
shield's
nice.
A shield,
yeah,
right?
It's just always nice.
Here we go. The siege begins, though. Baron in the pocket of VG. Now we just need to see them hold on to this lead that they found for themselves. We've seen them throw plenty of leads in the past, but massive attack in the mid lane. Straight on towards the inhibitor. They're going to be able to find this one, but I think they want the fight right here. Forge continues the push in the bottom side in the meantime. This Cube will finish off the mid lane.
It's just great seeing Vici use multiple lanes, knowing they don't need to group as 5. They don't need to kind of let LNG group together, having their wave clear options in the Misfortune, in the Azir, pull them apart, getting 2 inhibitors very easy, and they have a wave on the top side of the map.
Yeah, massive wave already crashing with the tier 2 up on the top side. iBoy going to be able to be there just to clear that one up. Now they just have to wait for that wave to push in the top side. They could get all 3 inhibitors off this Baron. Only 20 seconds remaining, but I think that might just be long enough.
All eyes right now are on Forge. He's on this cast. And even Kai'Sa, just all these options that can jump in.
They want to fight on this one. Knockup doesn't land, though. Zero Maple still surviving on the back line. XX the first casualty of the fight. VG looking good right here. FLICKR pops the World Ender, but it's about to time out. Goes back into the standard Aatrox, and it's not going to be quite effective enough here. Vici, they do get the 3 inhibitors. Do they want to try and push here? Do they want to try and end the game here and now? Looks like they might play it safe. Back away for now. Duan threatening a hook. I don't know if they can really win, even if they get a hook.
And even if, that's true, but even if you're Vici, you don't need to do this. You have 3 inhibitors. You can back, look for the reset, kind of start making your way, synchronizing these waves of super minions and really abusing LNG inside their base until something like the Elder Drake comes up.
Yeah, double waves of super minions. Look at
5,
the
000.
gold. Oh my days. 5,500 off of a Baron buff. That is a huge lead to pull out for yourselves. And now, as you mentioned, just getting the waves in order, buying some items, getting yourself the red buff for iBoy. Look at the items on Forge right now.
Look at the items on iBoy.
Massive. Yeah, you're absolutely right as well. I mean, both carries. They're both late game carries. They're both at 5 items. iBoy even has a stopwatch just in case he gets caught out.
iBoy getting away from that AP build, though, with the W, going a lot more towards enhancing these auto attacks, especially with crit, isn't something we see too common on Kai'Sa anymore.
No, but we'll, in fact, yeah, he never went for the Hurricane.
No.
Did go for the Rapid Fire Cannon. Here we go, though. Supers coming on in. They're looking to end the game. FLICKR is removed from the fight entirely. That's going to be a kill for Forge as he looks to get onto the fountain. He still survives though. Zhonya's comes through. Will be finished off by Maple. At least a small revenge kill. Azura actually looking to deal the damage here. iBoy though has so much. Killer Instinct comes on through. That's going to be game. And we're going to 3 for our first series of the day.